Hey, second grade. This week we're going to be talking about main idea and details. That should sound familiar because at the beginning of the year we talked about main idea. So this week we're going to keep talking about main idea and we're going to add details to our main ideas. So if you remember from the beginning of the year, main idea is what a story or a passage is about. So main idea is the big thing that happens in a story, in a passage, or in a picture or an event. It's what's happening or what happened. It's the big thing that happened. What a story is about. That's the main idea. The details are the little tiny things that happened along the way. It's the specific little things that the characters did or the tiny little things that happened along the way. Remember, main idea is the big idea. It's what the story is about, what the passage is about. And the details are the little tiny things that happen along the way. So I have my handy dandy chalkboard with a visual here. So we see that the main idea is what's happening. What is this? It's an ice cream cone. That's my main idea. So right here we have a picture, and what is my picture about? It's an ice cream cone. So the ice cream cone is the main idea. But let's look at 3 details. I see 3 details in my ice cream cone. Remember, the details are the little tiny specific things that are happening. So for example, one detail is that I have a grape ice cream scoop. Another detail is that I have a strawberry scoop. And another detail is that I have a blueberry scoop. So the main idea, the big picture, is that this is an ice cream cone. And the little details are that I have blueberry, strawberry, and grape ice cream. If I flip this chart over, I'm going to show you an example. So I'm going to flip my chart over, my bulletin board and my chalkboard over, and I'm going to show you another example of main idea. So here I have a book that we've already read. That's one of my favorite books that we've read all school year. The Day the Crayons Came Home. And we know that this is the second part to the series. We know that there's a book called The Day the Crayons Quit, and then we have The Day the Crayons Came Home. I like this book because I like when they're all reunited again. So we have The Day the Crayons Came Home, and let's talk about the main idea and 3 details in this book, The Day the Crayons Came Home. So remember that main idea, my ice cream cone, when I had this flipped over to the other side, right? The ice cream cone, the main idea is what this story is about. So what happened in this story? What was the big picture? What was this story about? I wrote that the crayons all came back home. That was my main idea. My crayons all came back home because they had all gone on vacation and all quit their jobs. And so the main idea was that the crayons all came back home. Remember, you can usually find the main idea in your title, right? The title of the story is The Day the Crayons Came Home. And the main idea is that the crayons all came home, right? Because the title of the story usually tells us what the story is going to be about. So the main idea and the title are both what the story is about, which means the main idea usually matches my title. That's a hint, though. So just in case someone ever asks you what the main idea of a book is, you can usually check your title, and it's usually a hint of what your main idea is. So the main idea in this story was that the crayons all came home. Now, what are 3 details that happened in the story? Well, let's take a look. There's a lot of little things that happened along the way. The crayons didn't just appear home, right? The crayons didn't just pop back up in Duncan's room. A bunch of little things happened along the way. So we can keep looking at the little tiny things that happened. And as I flipped through the book to figure out what the details were and what little things happened all the way until the crayons came home, I realized that one detail was that the neon crayon was left behind on vacation. The Another detail that happened was that the brown crayon was eaten by a dog. That happened pretty early on in the story, right? We had that the neon crayon was left on vacation. She was left when the family went on vacation. The brown crayon was eaten by the dog, and the turquoise crayon got left in the dryer. So if we look here, we'll find that the turquoise crayon was thrown in the dryer and got stuck to a sock. Here, you can see in the picture that she got stuck to a sock. So the little details along the way, the crayons didn't just pop up at Duncan's room or in Duncan's house. There were a bunch of little things that happened all the way until the end of the story. And those little things that were happening were that the neon crayon got left behind on vacation, the brown crayon was eaten by the dog, the turquoise crayon was in the dryer. I think that the orange crayon and the yellow crayon got melted together by the sun. So those are all the little tiny details that happened in the book. But the main idea, the big picture, what this story is about, was that the crayons were all coming home. So remember, main idea is what the story or a passage or a picture or an event, it's what's happening, what is going on, what is this about, and the details are the little tiny things that happen along the way. We're going to keep talking about this all week long. You're going to keep watching videos and keep doing activities to remind you about main idea and details.